The Bhagavad-gita is one. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, thanks. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namah. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Right, so we're going to read from Bhagavad-gita today, and thank you. So we had a question last week about a particular verse, but the people asking a question aren't here, so I'm wondering if we should do something else and come back to that next week. Yeah, it was Isabella was asking about that verse. That's okay. Well, we'll keep going. Anyway, this verse is from the third chapter. Third chapter of Gita is called Karma Yoga. Okay. And it begins, let's have a look. So maybe we can talk more generally about the third chapter and then we can come to this verse. So basically, we'll just say our prayers first. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're going to read the 3rd chapter and the first couple of verses, and just to understand the flow that's happening here. So in the first chapter, the scene is being set, right? We have setting the scene, I think, observing the armies on the battlefield. So it's setting the scene, and then chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. Okay, so chapter 2, if someone wants to know, where should I start Bhagavad-gita, I just want to sort of understand the essence of it, then chapter 2 is a good place to start, right? Because everything is summarized there, and especially the teachings about the soul are all there, like the essential thing. So there's really no question of spiritual knowledge until you accept the soul, right? You're just talking about bodies. So it's like, what's your religion? My religion, we go to this big church, and then this person stands there and he reads from a book and they put one wafer in our mouth. Or what's your religion? We have to wear this little sword and this turban. What's yours? We have to wear this clothes and do that. Until we really meditate and think about who we are beyond this body and beyond just the designations, then spiritual life doesn't really begin. We can say we're religious. What religion are you? I'm this. What religion? I'm that. What does that mean? We go to this church. We go to this mosque. We go to this temple. It's more or less external kind of a thing, like what you dress and things like that. So the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad-gita is where Krishna really begins a spiritual teaching of what is the soul. What are we actually talking about here? When we talk about spiritual knowledge, Baba, can you turn that speaker down outside? Just turn it down to half whatever it is now, because it's way louder than what's in here. It's a bit weird. So the 2nd chapter is where the teachings really begin. Let's just have a look. Everyone turn to chapter 2, text number 12. Right? This is really where the teachings begin. Let's have a look. So this is page 76. We can do a bit of an overview today. Have a look at this 2nd chapter and then into the 3rd chapter. Why is Krishna talking this 3rd chapter? What's the question at hand? Right? 2nd chapter, text 12. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. All right? This is basically the beginning. Okay? Text 10 is, at that time Krishna, standing in the midst of both the armies, smiling, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So Arjuna is grief-stricken. He's completely overwhelmed. He can't deal with the situation. He's just broken down. He's dropped his bows. I don't know, I can't do anything. That's it. Is Krishna overwhelmed? No. It's said here, right? Tamuvacha Rishikesha Prahasan, smiling. He's smiling in the midst of this carnage that's about to happen, in the midst of this emotional breakdown, actually, that Arjuna's having, right? Complete emotional breakdown. But Krishna speaks, but then Krishna's smiling. So Krishna's not affected by anything. So he says that, right? He spoke the following words. Text 11. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So straight away he says, you're lamenting for all these people, but those who are wise, they don't lament for people who are living or dead. That just the fact that their bodies are changing. What's the lamentation about? Just about the body. And then he begins, right? Then Bhagavad-gita begins. Text 11, text 12. And this is where the teachings really begin, right? Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these other kings. In other words, all these other people here on the battlefield. And never in the future shall any of us cease being, shall any of us stop existing. Right? So that's a pretty big statement. That's the beginning. Straight away, he's laying down it. This is very clear knowledge. Okay, this isn't a religion. You go to, that you go to this religion, you have this demarcation or whatever. It's, understand firstly, you have always existed, I've always existed, and all these other people have always existed. Okay, now let's start from there. That's the first stage. You're worried about their bodies, but they've always existed and they're always going to exist. They'll never stop existing. Then he says, very famous verse, Dihinosmin Yatadahe, text 13. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Okay, so very simple but foundational knowledge he's giving, right? Don't worry about that you're this religion and that religion, whatever. This is science. Your body is changing from a boy, from a child, to a youth, to an old person, and then it's going to change again. And people who are actually intelligent, they're not bewildered by that change. They can see there's a conscious experiencer experiencing the changes of the body. There's another same conscious experiencer experiencing the end of that body, start of a new body. Right? And he says, therefore, text 13, he says, therefore you should understand that this temporary or non-permanent appearance, I'm on page 80 now, therefore you should understand that the non-permanent appearance of this happiness and distress, this distress you're going through right now, and their disappearance in due course, so you're distressed now, but in future you won't be distressed, you'll feel alright again. They're just like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer. They arise from sense perception, they're to do with your body. And you have to just learn to tolerate them. Don't be disturbed. Sometimes you'll be happy, sometimes you'll be ecstatic, sometimes you'll be really depressed. That's all to do with the body. Don't worry about it. Just like winter and summer comes. Like now summer's coming, we're not all going to get so sad. Oh my God, it's going to be so hot. Oh no, I can't do anything because No, it's summer, right? It's hot. Some might have an AC, might go for a swim, wear some lighter clothes. Just tolerate it. It's just going to happen. And after that, there'll be winter. It's going to be cold again. We'll burn the fire, put on a heater, put on some warm clothes. No? Yeah, exactly. So he's saying, just like, and he's saying, you're lamenting now, right? You're depressed about this. He said, and then tomorrow, or next month, you'll feel better. And then you'll feel better. He said, don't base in other words, don't base your life on how you're feeling. Basically, essentially, he's saying. You're feeling like this now, but you'll feel differently, right? It's not going to last. Base your life on the permanent, the soul, right? Who you actually are, right? Then he says, the person who's not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. He's eligible to get out of this material world, or she's eligible to get out of this material world. Not disturbed in happiness. Oh yes, I've achieved that, I've got the gold medal, yes, oh my God, my life is so filled. Oh my God, I can't feel like getting out of bed. Whatever, you see, both. Somebody not disturbed by that, it's just, here goes my mind again. No, you're useless, You're great, you're the best. Whatever, it doesn't matter. He's saying that when you can just become undisturbed by those things and just keep going, then you're eligible for liberation, right? You're eligible to get out of this whole experience, right? And this is the verse. I think we talked on this verse, this next verse, didn't we? Like quite some weeks ago. We were talking about how different other religions will say that God created the souls and then they became eternal, or like different things. But Krishna makes it this is really in the beginning. So this is literally the fifth instruction. right? This verse 16. He only starts at verse 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's like the 6th verse. He says straight, he goes to this. Those who actually see the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, this material body, this whole material experience of happiness, distress and everything, there's no endurance. It doesn't last. But of the eternal, the soul, there's no change. It never changes. So one thing's always changing and another thing never changes. Right? This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. You can see here how real Krishna is in these teachings, that even he's not saying, I'm God, just believe me. He's saying other people say this, people who are really wise, they understand this, that the soul is eternal and everything else is always changing. But he says, this they have concluded by studying the nature of both, right? Tvanayas tattvadarshini, they've seen it. So he's not saying, you just believe me, just believe. He's not saying that. He's saying they understand that by perceiving it. And we can perceive it ourselves. We can see within our own self, there's a certain part of us that hasn't changed. There's a certain part of us that's constantly changing. What are we going to put our faith in? It's pretty easy. We're going to put our faith in something that's constantly changing, our own mind, our own emotions, our body, all that. Or we're going to put our faith in the thing that never changes, the actual seat of our consciousness, the observer, the soul, the Atma. It's pretty obvious which is more solid. But the point is, he's saying they've concluded this by studying the nature of both. They don't just say, I believe that. It's like they've seen that. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Text 18. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth or death at any time. And he goes on, etc., etc. Goes on. The whole 2nd chapter is this, and he talks about basically to understand essentially that we are the soul, we are not this body, and to be happy we have to come to that level of soul. There's no question of happiness on something that's, security and safety on something that's moving all the time. We need, if we really want actual happiness, that has to be on the level of the soul. We have to contact that soul, that essence of ourselves. So he basically spends the whole 2nd chapter talking about this, right? So then he comes to the 3rd chapter, 139, where Arjuna, having just heard all of this about that the soul, to understand you're not the body, to understand you're the soul, this is how you'll actually be happy, successful, everything like this. Described, explained this way, that way, the other way, in so much detail. 72 slokas, I think, the 2nd chapter is, right? 72? Is that right? 72, yes. Okay, so 72 verses. He's just hammered him. 60, because the first 10. You're not the body because of this. You're not the body because of this. And you're also not the body because of this. He's just like, you are the soul. So after all this, Arjuna kind of says, okay, but if you think that intelligence is better than working, if you think that all of this work is to do with the body, right, why are you asking me to fight? Why are you telling me to go in this thing? If we're the soul, and I just need to have the intelligence to understand I'm the soul, I'm not this body, why are you telling me to fight with this body? Text 1. Text 2. It's page 140. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. Okay, so essentially he's saying, you've just gone and told me that, the soul, that I shouldn't worry about how I feel, essentially, whether I'm happy or sad. I should just, try to understand that I'm the soul, that I'm eternal, come to that platform, and that's the platform of happiness. So if that's the case, why Haribol Jai Sri Harinam Ki Jai Haribol. Yeah, they got like the in Byron they do that kirtan night. No. That's why they ate early. Yeah. We have to remember. Last month we did this at 4:00, so everybody could come. But he did once. Yeah, he came here. He did it once. Oh, he's not here. Oh, that's why. I didn't get the memo. Well, I should remember this. There wasn't a memo. That's okay. We got a good. Yeah. So he's saying here then, I don't understand. Now please tell me what, on the one hand you tell me fight, do this, and on the other hand you're saying I should just understand that I'm the soul and there's no meaning to the body and emotion, etc. So text 3, Krishna says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. Okay, so he's saying that there's two ways to understand the self, or to understand that you are the soul. So what are those two ways? Just in normal English, what are the two ways that Krishna is saying? Yeah. Yeah, service or speculation, yeah. But what's speculation? Like, what is it? Like, just expand on that a bit more. Yeah. Not so much text, but that's also there. But the essence of it is empirical, which means empirical philosophical speculation. So empirical means like direct understanding. Like the empirical method is science, right? Yes, like you're directly perceiving. So you're looking, you're thinking, all right, I have attraction to whatever situation in life, whatever. Okay, then I see somebody who's done that. Oh, that didn't make them happy. No, I don't want to do that. That's temporary. Okay, what about this? What about that? Like you're observing and seeing that anything that's not done anything that's temporary, you say, all right, that's not the soul, because I know the soul's eternal. And so you basically just one by one negate everything. Now, that's part of our process. Like we definitely we have to think. Like if we don't think like that, then we just run out and try and enjoy. Oh, I feel like going out to the casino and it'll be good. No, we think, no, oh my God, okay, if I do that, mode of ignorance plus mode of ignorance, the next day this gonna, we understand, so we're thinking like that. But that's only part of the process. If that's all you have, anyway, we'll go on. Krishna will explain that, the problem with that process. But that's one process, is to just try to, just by thinking and by seeing what's material, what's spiritual. This is temporary. This is not going to help me. This is material. This is permanent. All right, that's what I'm trying to go for. And the other one is service, right? Devotional service, spiritual service. Right? So let's do text 4 now. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Okay, so this is talking about that first process, the empirical process. He's saying not by simply abstaining from work, or not by simply just giving up work, can you attain freedom from reaction. What does he mean by that? Yep. Yeah. And also, what about all the karma that you've already got? Yeah. So, So just by stopping, you won't get freedom from reaction, because there's so many reactions already coming from so many hundreds of lives. So it's not just by stopping, like, the big truck is coming towards you and just, here, stop. No, it's still coming. Like the momentum of your karma is still going, right? It's not just going to stop automatically. Exactly, nor by renunciation. So just running away, you're not going to attain perfection, just by running away, right? So then he says, text 5. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he's acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. What's he saying there? Yeah. Yep. What else? Yeah. Well, that's what he says, isn't it? Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he's acquired. So we have a certain nature, like that's similar to the first point, right? Freedom from all this previous karma. So he's just expanding on that we've created a certain nature from so many lifetimes, and he's using the word helplessly, avasha. We can't help that. Everyone's forced to act helplessly according to the qualities. So we've acted in certain ways in previous life, we have a certain quality, we have a certain nature, we're going to act, and we're literally forced to. And we'll act within those qualities. Whatever our nature that we built up, whatever it is, we will act. There's no question. And as well, that we, and therefore we're always going to do something. And yeah, even if we run away to the mountains, then we'll be thinking about all the things that will eventually we'll come back to it. And then he gives so basically this whole karma yoga, this whole third chapter is talking, and obviously karma means action. But this is the point where this third chapter, so while he's laid down the whole spiritual truths and all of the categories in the second chapter, everything's contained in that. But the third chapter, then he gets into really, what do you do? And this is, I remember I was talking to a devotee recently that we were talking about the books that we read before we read Gita, before we read Prabhupada's books. And I mentioned that I'd read the Tibetan book of Living and Dying. And I had great hopes that in that book, it would really show, okay, this is what you have to do when you're getting ready to die. This is how you attain to the higher realms, everything. And I read that book, and I was saying to this devotee that after I read that book, there was no practical information about what I should actually do. There was nothing that said, you should act like this, you should do like this. It was very, there was nothing life-changing. There was nothing that changed my life in how I actually acted. So Bhagavad-gita is very different to that, because it tells you how you should actually act, how to actually do stuff, not just, how to, talk some spiritual ideas with someone else and keep your life going in a normal way. Not like that. And this third chapter is where Krishna starts on that. Karma Yoga, he says, okay, this is how you have to act. You might say the psychology of Bhagavad-gita as well, right? The psychology. How you need to be thinking. And text 6, he says, one who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Right? So this is a follow-on from these previous verses, that you can't just stop working, you can't just do nothing, you're still going to get your karma, there's no use running away. Whatever, that's text 4, text 5, whatever your nature is, you're going to act to that anyway, right? And then text 6, and don't think that just by restraining the senses, by stopping doing something And then in your mind, just you're still going to be thinking about it. Don't think that that's any good. That's just a pretender, right? You're just pretending. Oh yes, I'm so restrained, whatever. But in your mind, you're thinking so many things. So the same thing, he's really getting into it. In the third chapter is where he starts to get into the actual emotional situation of being a devotee. What's in the emotions, what's in the mind happening. But he says, but on the other hand, text 7, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he's by far superior. And then text 8, perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Right. So he's saying, without working you can't even maintain your physical body. What to speak of your spiritual progress? Even physically you can't. So he says, perform your duty. That's better than not working. And then he says, okay, all right, so you're going to work, but what type of work? Text 9. Work has to be performed as a sacrifice for Vishnu, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. Yeah? Right? So then he keeps coming back to this point. This is really the essence of Gita, right? Do your work, but do it for Krishna. Work in this world hard, but do it for God. Connect it to God. That's the essence of Gita, right? Right there. And he keeps coming back and saying this point multiple different times. But this is where you see he goes through this whole thing about you have to work, you're going to get your karma anyway, you've got your nature, that's not going to change. Don't stop working and think about, then you're a pretender. You have to do your duty. This is isn't it nice to see the verses one after another? You just see the whole progress. And then he says, at work you have to work for God. Work is a sacrifice for God. Then he tells him how to work. Okay, this is bhakti yoga, right? Do your work, do your duty, but do it as a sacrifice of Vishnu. He said if you don't work for Vishnu, you'll get more karma. He's already told him you're gonna work, you have to work, you'll be forced to work. Nobody can not do anything. But you work for Krishna, you work for God. And perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. In that way you'll always remain free from the bad karmas. Right? So then he goes on, keeps going, and this is essentially the message of the third chapter is how to perform activity in this world. Bhakti yoga is, very unique. It's a science of action. If you study other religious texts, there are moral instructions on how to act as a moral person, to give in charity, to be peaceful, to look after others, not to commit, adultery and all these different things, how to act properly in society. There's all those actions, but they're not really directly spiritual. They create a peaceful society where spiritual consciousness can go on, but they are still to do with the external. They're to do with the body and the mind, right? They're not beyond second chapter of Gita. They're before that, before those instructions, right? And then you'll find in those same sacred texts, there's very high spiritual things about surrender to God, that those who are on the highest level, they're fully surrendered to the Lord. There's different, give your Lord all your heart, give the Lord your heart. All these, those are there. In bhakti yoga, the connection is, and of course there's in all the spiritual texts there is a connection there. There's God consciousness, there's being pious, and there's a certain amount of connection. But in bhakti yoga, the science of that connection is very clearly explained. You have to act in this world as a service to God. How is that? They're not just, okay, you, sometimes they say, Madhava Seva, or we do, and in other religions as well, we go and feed the poor, and that's our service to God. That is like on the moral level, on the civilized level, right? But in Bhakti Yoga, he's talking about perform your work as a sacrifice for Vishnu. What does that mean? So say you're in family life, you have children. So just being a pious person is like, or being a good person is like not committing adultery, looking after your children. That's good, okay. But then work as a sacrifice for Vishnu is, okay, give your children God consciousness. Actually train them in mantra, in spiritual activities, teach them spiritual activities. That's sacrificing that work for Krishna, for Vishnu, right? It's actually connecting it to the spiritual. It's actually connecting it to Krishna consciousness. With our work, we can work, earn some money, maintain ourselves in a pious way. That's good. But then with that work, we give some benefit of the work to the work of Krishna consciousness, actually directly giving the mantra, giving prasadam. Or we can do some work to help that. That's directly connected, right? So that's where the bhakti is, and this is why Rupa Goswami says that bhakti is Krishna consciousness. It's the consciousness of doing that. It's not what we do. We can do things this way, we can do so many things. But when we do, it doesn't look that much different on the outside, but when we do things actually trying to please Krishna, that's verse, that bhakti is when you're acting with your senses without a desire just for liberation or enjoyment, but acting with the senses to please Krishna, to please Vishnu, sacrifice of Vishnu, that is bhakti. That's a definition. So this is what we're trying to perform. This is what we're acting in this bhakti yoga process. And we'll do this other verse we talked about. It's 335 is this verse. It's better to do your own duties than another's. We can talk about this next week. But I think this is a good overview to see the overall conversation, that basically Arjuna is saying, I don't want to fight, it's all too much. Krishna is saying, you're not this body, you're the soul. They're all souls, they're also not going to die. So just do your duty. And then Arjuna is saying, well, if we're all just souls, then what's the point in doing anything? And then, Krishna starts to tell this teaching, especially in third chapter, of how to act in the world. Not just on the level of pious activity, but on the level of actually bhakti. Actually doing the activities directly connected to Krishna, to Krishna consciousness, through the parampara, through the guru, through the directions of the guru, etc. So we can like to say something about this. Work has to be performed as sacrifice of Vishnu, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. In that way you'll always remain free from bondage. Perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. So not just do your prescribed duties, not just be pious, do the right thing, but do it for his satisfaction. Then question comes out, how do we know what's his satisfaction? Right? That's the question. So we can have some ideas. How do we know it's for his satisfaction? Maybe some microphone, because we can. Maybe some people. Perform your prescribed duties, whatever your duty is, do that. But for his satisfaction, then how do you know? Very easy to say, I'm doing this for Krishna, for Bhagavan. Yes, it's 5 words, easy done. But is it that simple, right? What if you have a friend and he says, I really like, curd sabji. And you say, I don't like curd sabji, I like chole bhatura. So it's his birthday. And you say, I'm going to have chole bhatura for your birthday. And the guy's like, I really like the curd sabji and the puris, you know. So how do you know? Well, he tells you, right? So how do we know? We can't just say, no, I made you chole bhatura, and this is my offering, my heartfelt offering to you. It's chole bhatura. Is real or not? Not real. Because he doesn't like that, he likes something else. So Krishna here is saying that perform your duties for his satisfaction, for the satisfaction of the Lord. How do we know? We can't just say, right? How do we know? Any ideas? Is there a microphone there? Oh.
Well, Krishna tells us what he likes.
Krishna tells us?
Yeah.
Where does he tell us? What does he say?
In the Gita he says.
What does he say?
He says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
Yes.
Yome bhaktya prayachati.
Yes.
Whatever you give me with love and devotion, I accept. And Your Honor, on the point that you made, that actually devotees offer whatever is very dear to them, to the Lord, because He has everything.
Oh, you're getting all... that's high level stuff. We're just low, in the beginning devotees here. Bring in this higher. But the first point is good. And the second point is good too. But the first point is what we're talking about, that he says, what does he say? Offer me a flower, fruit, love. Offer me a fruit, flower, leaf or water, and I'll accept that. But what does he also say in that sloka? You know that sloka? Is that what else does he say in there? He doesn't just say, offer me a flower, fruit, leaf or water. What does he say? Patram pushpam palam toyam yo me. What's the next word? Bhaktya prayachati. Bhaktya, right? So he says with devotion. So if we go and we make the nice offering, we say, I'm going to make this offering to Krishna, and I've heard Krishna is Supreme Lord, He has everything. I'm sure if I do this for 10 years, then I'll become the richest man in the world. Then is Krishna accepting that? Why not? It's not with devotion, is it? It's just trying to be God by telling God to do something. Right? You're just playing God in another way. Sorry, what did you say? By proxy, yeah. God by proxy. Right? God says, if you do this, so I say, all right, all right, do this. This is what I want, and you do it for me then. That's just another thing. It's no bhakti. Right? So that's the first thing he tells us. Right? So there again we can see the simple example that bhakti is not wanting something material. And this is actually Rupa Goswami's formula. What is that verse? Anyabalasita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukolyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uchate. That bhakti is when it's not covered by trying to achieve something in this world or just trying to get out of this world. Enjoyment or liberation. When you don't have either of those things, and then it's just to please Krishna. Then, so we can analyze something, we can see, why am I doing this? I come here doing some service at the temple, what's my motive? We can analyze it, we're all, and we are all mixed devotees. So there's some bhakti, right? There's some that we want to come closer to God, and there's some that we want material happiness. That's just natural, we're conditioned souls. But we have to be working towards the trying to please God. We have to be going toward that. There's no use coming to the temple and just inflaming our own material plans. I will come to the temple and then I'll become more peaceful, so then I can go back out there and conquer the world. It's silly, right? So we analyze for ourselves, and then we say, and then it'll come up in our heart because we're conditioned soul. Oh, maybe if I do this, I'll get some wealth, or I'll get some name and fame, or someone, or I'll get some position or something. And we say, no, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm just doing this out of service. I'm trying to please the Lord. We understand this is the ultimate goal, right? I will be happy only by pleasing the Lord. All these other things that have come out of my heart, I just ignore them. That's not why I'm doing this. And then, we gradually we purify. We become more purified. This is why I'm doing it, not for that. Not for that, not for that. So, this is how we can understand, bhakti. What is, how to have that bhakti, how to be pleasing Krishna. Work performed for a sacrifice of Vishnu has to be done. Otherwise, we're just increasing our bondage of the material world. So what else? How else can we know that it's pleasing to Krishna? Right? That we're doing things as a sacrifice for Vishnu. What are the symptoms for ourselves? Somebody else want to say? Because this is what we're all faced with, this dilemma as devotees. We're trying to understand. I want to do that. Why do I want to do that? Am I just doing that for some material reason? I want to get known. I want to get rich. I want to have more sense gratification, or I'll think I'll be peaceful and free from the material world. Is that why I'm doing it, or am I trying to actually please God? Do I actually want to have a relationship with the Lord? Of love, not of business. Then we all have that. Somebody else want to say? How can we know? Or what's the thinking process? Somebody. Does anyone want to say some ideas? We have to think like this if to be devotees. We have to distinguish. Take the mic. Can you give him the mic? Please. This in the back, I think. Are you going to say? Give it a shot.
Perhaps when we're pleasing Krishna, we ourselves become more devoted in the process.
Yes. Yes.
We feel more inclined to do more for Krishna.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Yeah, we can look back and when we did something and think, oh yeah, I did that. What was the result? Oh, I wasn't happy. I made me feel less inclined to do service. Or it actually inspired me to do more service. So that's a very good idea. Yeah. What else? You guys got some ideas? What are the things that can tell us whether we're pleasing the Lord by our activities or not? You want to say? Okay. No? What about others? Other devotees? Right? Especially advanced devotees, like Guru, someone like that. What about that? We don't speak Gujarati, by the way. You can say it in English, then we can all understand hey, what happened? Oh. Oh, okay. That's alright. Okay. As long as you didn't steal my mic, I can still sell it. Someone will come back in 10 minutes. Can I have the mic? I'll just be sitting here on the floor, no chair. No. I got socks there. No worries. Yeah. At least we have Bhagavad-gita. They can't take all the Bhagavad-gitas. Krishna's there, and they're not going to take it. So devote. Do you want to say that in English? What did Nasi Mehta said? Who's the they? Who's he talking about? Oh, exactly. Yep. So in the Mangalati prayers, when we sing in the morning early, everybody's been to Mangalati? You guys come? You've come? Yeah. You'll come, right? You come? Yeah. So there's there's 8 verses, and the last verse it says, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado. Right? He's talking about the Guru. That Yasya prasadad, by the mercy of the Guru, bhagavat prasado. The mercy of Krishna is coming. That whole prayer is there. That the Guru is bringing the mercy of Krishna. Just like the rain, the cloud comes from the ocean and brings the rain, the water on the land and all the crops, everything grows nicely. So like that, the ocean is like the Lord, right? And the Guru is like the cloud. He's bringing that water and bring it down. So this is the way to please the Lord, to know if you're pleasing the Lord. Especially directly, He's given the Guru, because the Guru is right here, right? So we may say, "Oh, I am pleasing the Lord by doing this and that," but Lord is not going to say. Unless you're a very advanced devotee, the Lord's not going to talk to you from the altar, is He? Right? And then in your heart, we're conditioned souls, right? So the Lord is talking there, but also the Maya is talking. And we're not exactly sure who's got the mic right now. Is it Maya or is it Krishna? You know what I'm saying? We can't be 100% sure. But when the Guru tells you, "Oh, don't do that. That's really bad for your spiritual life." He's there, He's looking, and we say, "Oh, Gurudev, I was thinking about doing this and this, what do you think?" And He will say, "I don't know. I saw one devotee once, like you, and he did that. And then 2 years later, he wasn't chanting Hare Krishna. He wasn't doing any spiritual activity. He was really suffering in a bad situation." I'd be careful like that. You see? So the Guru is right there with you. The Guru, not just like Guru, Diksha Guru, whatever, but even just devotees, advanced devotees. Anybody who's one day more advanced than us, they can help us and give us guidance. And oftentimes you'll find if you keep in the association of devotees, you can even understand your own consciousness without even asking someone. You get a little bit full of yourself or something, and you see the devotees kind of like, they're not really impressed. And then you feel so humble, like, "Oh my God, I'm so fortunate to be in the association. Krishna is there, and I have His holy name, and all these devotees have blessed me." You feel that, and then the devotees, they're showering, "Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu, so nice to see." Like they don't even have to say. You just understand that your consciousness is right, your consciousness is not right. That's the great thing about Bhakti Yoga. I remember when I was a very new devotee, like a very, very new devotee. I'm still a very new devotee, but I was a very, very, very new devotee. And that time, and I think it was Ajita Prabhu was saying, because he was my Bhakti leader, and he was saying that this is a science of consciousness, that it's based on consciousness. It's not based on position. It's not like you can be, like in the army is a classic example of position, right? I was listening to recently someone from the Second World War, and he was like, he came from Poland and he was a Jew, but he got to America, and then they conscripted him in the army. Well, he wanted to go and fight against Hitler, and because he spoke German, they put him as interrogating the Nazi officers after they'd won. And so anyway, he was a private, but they took all the ranks off because they didn't want to know who was the officer, and because they just didn't want them to know. They're interrogating them. They don't want them to know anything, even who was the senior officer and what. So anyway, he did that. So he was just joking that he was actually a private, but then the driver was like a corporal or something above him in rank, but he didn't let him. He was ordering, "Oh, you do this, do this." So it was just like, the army is like that, right? You're this rank? Yes sir, no sir. You're that lower rank, you go there. It's just fully like hierarchical, right? So some, in some ways, religious institutions can be like that too, right? And in some ways our institution, can sometimes be like that. Oh, you're a higher rank, so you should be able to tell whatever. But Ajita Prabhu is making the point, and this is the fact, the Krishna consciousness is actually about consciousness, level of consciousness. And even if someone is advanced, whatever, you'll see that all the devotees, they're not super inspired to hear from them if their consciousness isn't good, isn't actually surrendering to Krishna, surrendering to the Lord. You'll see it. You'll see it. It's an amazing thing. So the association of devotees, even if we've been around, 100 years in devotional service, and somebody's just come that afternoon, but if we don't have a devotional, right attitude, even that brand new devotee, they will let us know. They'll kind of like, oh. But then we understand, I'm not actually, if I'm not pleasing the devotees, how am I pleasing the Lord? Can't be, right? If we're pleasing the devotees, the Lord's pleased. We see that practically. So like this is our primary way to understand if we're pleasing the Lord, And by devotees, it means it has to be, good devotees. Like, it doesn't just mean I find 2 devotees somewhere out yonder that agrees with me on my funny idea, and I'm pleasing the devotees. Not like that. But you're actually pleasing the body of devotees, that they're pleased with your service, then you can understand. So therefore, Scripture and devotees, right? What's the 3 things? It feels really strange to be sitting here holding a microphone. I don't know, it's sort of like I'm on a talk show. I don't know, it just feels really weird. But it's alright. No, it's okay. I'm just laughing. It's like I'm sitting up here with my... Yeah. But what are the 3 things? Who knows? What are the 3 things that we judge our service by? Guru, we've talked about Guru. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. You've heard that? Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, these 3 things. So we have the Guru, we have the Sadhus, who are the senior devotees, and especially, Prabhupada says, especially like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, like those are the Sadhus. In some ways it can be interpreted also just like senior devotees that we're with, but especially those, those Mahabhagavat devotees. And then Shastra, what is the scripture saying? So those 3 things. We read the scripture, but we don't just read it on our own, get our own idea. Then we check with the Guru. Because you can't write a book that applies to every single circumstance of every person in existence. The book would be infinite, right? When you're 21 and 3 days old and you meet this person, this is what you should do. It's impossible. So the guidelines are general in the scripture. These are the general guidelines. What you do, then you need the Guru, right? To apply that. In this situation, what should I do? Well, at your stage of life, you're this age, I think you should stay at university, finish your degree, do this, whatever, and then after that, he'll give advice, right? Practical advice. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, those 3 things. That's how we can understand. We can't understand just on our own that we're pleasing Krishna. And of course, it is true also that we can understand on our own, right? Both things are true. Prabhupada once said, how do you know Krishna is God? And they said, well, it says in the book. He said, yeah, but I might not agree with your book. So many things. And eventually the devotee said, because I can feel it. Prabhupada said, yes, you can feel it. Right? So that side is there too. It's a very personal experience. What does Krishna say? Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. It's directly perceived. You can directly perceive it. Like if you're eating, the example is given in Bhagavatam that when you're eating, nobody has to come and tell you, oh yes, you're eating now. You're full, you're feeling satisfied. No, you feel satisfied. So when you're performing bhakti, you actually begin to feel satisfied. It's like, wow, I look at this satisfaction. I don't have these anxieties. I feel this deep satisfaction. I'm feeling connection with God. Like nobody has to tell you that. It's just there. So there's the external things you could say. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, all those things. And then also there's just you feel. You have the experience what Krishna consciousness is. Many times Prabhupada said that. They said, what is Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is having no fear. Being fearless. No anxiety. So many things.
I have a practical question. In what is the best way to turn something like a task or a duty or some kind of work into a service, like the practical steps of doing that?
The practical steps of doing it is, you can read in the 12th chapter of Gita, Krishna says, these practical steps he gives, starting with one, just always think of me. So you can just always think of him. If you can't just always be thinking about him, then do bhakti yoga, then work for him. He gives the whole step. So you can see where on that step you're at. Okay, is this something that I can connect? Essentially the question is, how can you connect it, right? The technical word is yukta varaga. Rupa Goswami is saying. Yukta means connection, the same root of yoga, right? Yoke the bullocks together, connect. So how do you connect that to Krishna? So if it's some activity that's making money, the most, like the furthest most thing you can say is, I'll make this money and I'll give some money to Krishna service. I'll sponsor some prasadam distribution. I'll sponsor some people to get Bhagavad-gita. I'll sponsor, some festival at the temple, something like that. So, okay, that's connected. But that you can do with anything, right? You can drive a taxi and do that. Then, okay, how else can I connect it? All right, what am I doing? I'm cooking. All right, cooking. I could cook some vegetarian prasadam, food, burger. I can offer it to Krishna, right? And then when I'm selling, when I'm giving, these people getting prasadam, and they'll get purified by that. Or I can cook that and give some extra and distribute it to my neighbors. Say, there's just some things we get from the temple. It's like blessed food. Have some. Oh, wow, great. And they eat that for a month, and then they start talking, wow, what is this temple about? So, we have this little book about temple. So like that, you can connect it. So it's just a matter of how to connect it to Krishna's service. So you'd have, do you want to say the practical work? What is the thing? And we can talk about ways to connect it, or?
Yeah, I guess, like, say, for instance, I'm cleaning the bathroom. Right?
Yeah, in your own house.
Or like in the temple, for instance.
Oh, in the temple?
Yeah, the temple bathroom. Just as an example, right?
Yeah.
To change that to just a task that I'm performing to a task that I'm actually doing for Krishna.
Yes.
Is thinking about Krishna and saying that I'm doing this for Krishna enough, chanting Krishna's name as I'm doing it. Is that enough, or is there more that I...
It's enough, but there can always be more. Radharani is saying, I want to serve Krishna more. So then it gets down to Krishna's potencies. Krishna says, I'm the light of the sun and the moon, I'm the ability in man. So you think, wow, this cleanliness of this bathroom, this is Shuddha, this is the mode of goodness, Shuddha Sattva. This is Krishna's existence is pure. So by taking this bathroom from this state to this state, that essence of purity, that's Krishna.
Okay.
Like that. You can the actual that's getting into that 7th chapter, 10th chapter, where he talks about among fishes I'm the shark. That's really in the material world stuff. I'm the ability in among human beings. I'm the strength of the strong. So that strength, I'm scrubbing. That strength to scrub, that's Krishna. So that gets right down into it. He gets into it. Into what the energies, where the energies are working.
A lot of mundane things that we have to do sometimes, just to remember the end goal. And you could begin with not just that day or that week or that month, but sometimes it's a further goal. Just why am I doing it, And you might not always be conscious of that, but all your other activities definitely are aiming that way and leading and helping you go that way.
Yeah, this is a really good point. Like, why am I doing that? What's the ultimate goal? And this is where, action is so important, because everybody's doing that. The guy's out at work all day. He's working. Every 5 minutes he's thinking, why am I working? Oh, okay, I've got this family, I've got this wife. When I get home, oh, she's going to cook a nice meal. Oh, my kids are going to speak to me nicely. I'm going to have have some enjoyment with the wife, whatever. That's what's driving them. That's what's driving everyone else. They may be doing something mundane, but actually in their heart they're thinking about, the weekend. I remember teaching at a school once, and the guy that did all the computer tech stuff, he would go to festivals on the weekend, like music festivals. And he was all dressed nicely, but on the weekend he was off and, taking all kinds of things and whatever he was doing for 3 days. So, and if you talk to him, that's what he was talking about. So although he's working during the week, his meditation is going and getting off his face and just, being crazy at a music festival. So we can do the same thing for Krishna. Just like Babi's saying, like, you're doing the work, whatever, but ultimately that's why when you act, when you do some sacrifice, it's hard, right? It's difficult. Oh man, this is hard. Like, and that's the purification of it. Then you think, why am I doing this? Oh, I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm doing this for my spiritual benefit. I'll get purified. And by doing that, the sacrifice purifies us. Even if in the beginning we had a more of a materialistic idea. The story of Dhruva Maharaj, right? Dhruva Maharaj's story, right? He was a little boy, went to the forest, he wanted to get a kingdom bigger than his grandfather. That was his thing. But then eventually, through Narada Muni's instruction, he was doing extreme austerities and chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, and Lord Vishnu himself came. And he said to him, what do you want? And he said, oh my God, he said, I was after little pieces of glass, but now I've got this diamond. I've got this jewel. I don't want any of this stuff. So sometimes it's like that. I mean, I know from my experience with our restaurant, we're going for about 7 years now, a couple of years before that we're doing things. But in the beginning it was more like, oh yes, this is our restaurant, we're going to establish a restaurant, oh, it's so exciting. It was also, Krishna was in there as well. Oh, it's Prasadam, wow, Krishna's Prasadam will be there. There was also exciting, that aspect, they were both there. But as the sacrifice has gone on over the years, it's become more just about, Krishna, if you want me to do this, I'll keep doing it. I'm just doing it for your pleasure. I don't really I don't have any desire to do it. But I can see it pleases you because people are taking prasadam and devotees are nicely engaged. So as we do the service in that consciousness of what is the goal, why are we doing this, we get more purified, becomes more of a spiritual thing. And that only comes when we work hard. When we work hard, we think, oh my God, this is hard. Why am I doing this again? And then we think, oh, that's why I'm doing it. You see, but if we just sit around and do nothing, we never get that. Just go, why am I doing this? Well, I'm not doing anything. There's nothing to worry about. What I'm doing? Go and eat at 12:30. Yeah, nice. But yeah, when we do that sacrifice, it goes more into the the mind and the emotions, like that, the active part of us, and it purifies that. That's why the action is so important. Because we're used to just acting for our own selves in the world. So many lifetimes. I'm acting, and then I'm going to enjoy out of this. But now I'm acting, but I'm not enjoying what's going on. Oh, okay, so it purifies that. And we come to that higher level, like, okay, I'm acting, and in real time I'm feeling that reciprocation. I'm feeling some bliss from this service, because it's Krishna's service, and I'm connecting it with Krishna, and therefore I feel that bliss. Not because I'm inspired to get sense gratification, but because I'm connected with Krishna. But all those different ways, you come at it from all those different ways. And the more the better. Yeah. If we're just like you said, is that enough? Well, if we're just like, all right, Krishna, I'm scrubbing the floor and I'm chanting Hare Krishna, all right? What more do you want? My hand, I'm scrubbing, and in my mouth I'm going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Is that enough? Yeah, I'm being silly, but you understand. That's enough, okay, but that's slow. You get purified by doing that service. You get purified by hearing the holy name. But you want to get really fast? Okay, engage the emotion, engage the everything. Oh, okay, Krishna, I'm doing it for you. I know it's difficult. I'm performing this sacrifice because I understand. I want to come closer to you, Lord. I don't want to dally in this material world anymore. it comes with the heart. Bhakti means heart. Yeah. The emotions are how we can connect our emotion, not in a airy-fairy way, but in a real way. Like, it's hard, I'm suffering, but that's okay. I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm performing some austerity for Krishna. That's what he says there, right? In that verse we just read, that last verse. Sacrifice has to be performed for Vishnu. You have to. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's what it means. Yeah, giving up our time, giving up whatever. Yeah.
My question was pretty much the same as Virginia's. But yeah, I feel like you answered it with just do it with all your heart. But I feel like, for example, when you're working on it's a 40-degree day, you're on a construction site, you're pushing a 100-kilogram wheelbarrow, you're really doing it for the money at the end of it to sustain yourself. Like, I feel like there might be a little bit of a conflict. Like, yes, you can say, yeah, you do it for Krishna and feel like that, but you're doing it for the money to survive.
But then what do you do with the money? That's the thing.
To survive. To sustain yourself. Pay
That's
the
it?
rent, pay the bills, whatever. How,
But then what do you do with that? Once you paid the rent and the bills, then what do you do? What to do with the rest of your time? Because you're not on the construction site 24/7.
It's just an example.
No, I know, but I'm just following the example.
Yeah.
Your point,
it'd be something to do with sense gratification.
Oh, I see. So your point so your point is that if somebody's doing that and they're saying, "Oh, this is for Krishna," but really they're just paying the bills, and is that real? And no, that's not. And that's what Krishna says right in that verse.
My question is, you want to, let's just say someone's come on board Krishna conscious, and they've left the farm or whatever, they start working, and they want to, do the sacrifice for Krishna, please Krishna, do it in devotion.
Yeah.
But you're on such a terrible place, working a terrible job.
And that's why, exactly. That's why you're getting into now the indirect stuff, which is the mode of your living. And that's why you have to try to live in the mode of goodness. Because if your job is so passionate and so tamasic that at the end of the day you need to be a man. It's too much. That's not good for your spiritual life. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to get your occupation into a place that by the end of it, your recreation is putting on a YouTube video about Vrindavan, or maybe you watch a mundane movie now and again, but you don't have to go into actually that was so full on, I just need to go and zone out and just watch some calming movie or whatever, and especially not intoxication. I mean, those guys that work hard on the all day, go on, check out what they're doing at 8 o'clock at night. They won't be chanting Hare Krishna. It's really intense, like you're saying. So the devotees, they mold their life in such a way that their occupation doesn't take up so much of, and it's not just construction. Like if someone is a doctor and working long hours, and they're totally fried, wow, what do they? It's very difficult.
Yeah,
that's according to the individual.
Yeah, I guess my question's more like Virginia's what's a practical method? Let's just say you have to do some type of job you don't particularly like.
Yeah.
For X amount of time.
Yeah.
What do you do to?
Then you just see that you're giving. You just see that this is what I have to do, and before I go to the job, I chant my rounds. Right on the way to the job, I have a Krishna conscious lecture going. I mean, we're so spoilt nowadays. We have these little devices that have connection to every guru, every shastra's there. We can hear, and I do the job. I'm there. Okay, I do my work. When I finish, I go home. I offer my prasadam. If some excess money, I come and give some to the temple as a sacrifice, because that's pretty much all I can do. I have no time to do service. I have no time to do anything else. I chant my rounds. I offer my food. I give some donation to the temple. That's good. So therefore, that's the whole point. While you're doing that, you'll be thinking, right? You're doing this, but the thing is, as well, people that can drive 100-kilo wheelbarrows all day, they're built for that too. For them, it's like, if they're not doing that, they're going crazy. If some guy's this big and buff, he wants to be working his body. So for them, it's just natural, and that's essentially Krishna's saying, isn't it? Do your nature, whatever it is, do that. But you do that saying, in a sense of detachment. Okay, I have this certain body and mind because of my previous lifetimes. I'm 80 kilos buff. I'm 25 years old. I can lift 100 kilos, do whatever. What can I do to earn money? And I'm not really intellectual. I don't like just sitting around working on computers. Oh, I can work in construction. That's fine. That is just, that's not me. That's just my body and mind at this time. How does that best engage in occupation? Well, I like concrete on a construction site. But in my heart, I'm a devotee. So the basic occupation, I do whatever that is, that's everyone has to do, right? But before that, I'm chanting, I'm coming to the temple whenever I can, chanting around, reading Bhagavad-gita, offering my food. Some excess I give to Krishna. So it's not, the occupations that are sinful, that's a problem. If your occupation is, to do with transporting meat, animals, liquor, intoxication, illicit sex, casino, casino is just like they're all there. They're all there, right? Illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, gambling, all in one place. So you need to get out of those kind of things because it's just overwhelmingly sinful. But if it's something like building houses or just sometimes you just have to do that. I mean, all devotees, you'll see sometimes, especially once you get married, you just do that.
Mm.
Yeah. You do it just by, you just do it by knowing the end result. But the end result of this is I'm paying my rent and I'm paying my car, and with that rent, with that house, I can chant Hare Krishna, and with that car I can go to the temple. That's basic. Yeah. Yeah, this is such. You'll find you'll do that. If you do those things we're talking about, while you're there in the job, you're thinking about that. You're learning a sloka at the start of the day. You'll be thinking about that sloka, that thing you learnt, that even one page you read. You're thinking about that. You're thinking about that during the day. And you just do the best you can do at the time.
Thank you.